If you're familiar at all with the old, was it 1967, the Patterson Bigfoot footage that was shot back then. You can Google that on YouTube or whatever, or just search for it on YouTube. It's a fun one, but this was sort of based on that. And I'm going to be doing kind of a mix in between here of a Bigfoot creature, but obviously the head is heightened over the performer. It's not just going to be a mask that he'd be wearing, but building out the chest, you know, and just knowing they're all separate muscles too that I'm going to be putting on here. So, you know, just drawing it out and thinking about it first is what you want to do. And so we're going to start breaking these down. I know I want, you know, a rib cage, but it's going to be floating in there. I'm actually going to get rid of this guy's arm right here because I'm just going to be drawing the body. Whoops. But again, having a decent knowledge of anatomy and doing your research first, you know, some of this, you know, that's what I always like to say, we were talking about this at the shop yesterday, is that I'm in the fabrication department. And sometimes that means that I sew and cut and I fabricate costumes. But I always like to say fabrication is you're making something up. And that's what we're doing sometimes. I'm just fabricating it. I'm making it up. So we're not only fabricating as in sewing and constructing, but fabricating in, let's see if this works. And the more I've been in fabrication, I do know what works. And it'll be kind of a little bit of trial and error with you guys, but if you're doing this for the first time. But less error because the trial is watching me do it, and luckily I've done this a whole bunch of times. Like I said, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 things I've worked on the tables behind me that the guys brought in. I was like, oh, cool, I did that, and that. So it's always fun to know that the things that are behind me, it's just, we didn't bring them in for the fun of it. Well, we brought them in for the fun of it, but I also worked on them. So I do know what works. But yeah, building up the different muscles, the necks, you know, things like that. And you can see I'm kind of, not necessarily copying what was over here, but you know, I've got these muscles sort of mapped out and how the butt would work. And I do want to see the butt, kind of the butt cheeks moving around. So, and that'll be a floating muscle. And when I say floating, it's going to be tethered with a piece of elastic. So that'll kind of float around. The thighs, those will be connected to the bodysuit because the thigh isn't a muscle that's really going to move a whole lot. It might flex a little bit out, but it's not something that you would necessarily notice moving too much. You know, we'll do like a floating kneecap just for the partly for the ease of the performer. You know, as they're moving around, it might be a really active shoot that our character is going on, and you don't want to just lock a kneecap right over the kneecap of the performer. It gets kind of tight. One of the things we'll talk about is making sure that you put a zipper in it. I'm not talking about a zipper in the back. We all know we have to get into this. I'm talking about a zipper in the front. Because if you close a guy up into one of these suits and you slap a makeup on him and gloves and all that stuff, you got to think about these things beforehand. They might just have to pee throughout a 12-hour or 14-hour shooting day. So those are some of the things you have to build into a suit like this. If you know they're getting snapped into it or even sewn into it, glued into it, the person's going to have to go to the bathroom. So you're going to have to think about all those things. And that's how I like to build a suit, is basically from the inside out, is making sure that the performer's comfortable, making sure that nothing hurts them, nothing is horribly, you know, something digging into them. I just got done building a big suit at Legacy Effects, and it was very heavy, made out of dense foam, and you know, we're constantly doing fittings on the performer, making sure that, you know, does it fit correctly? Does it hurt? What can we do to make it lighter? How can we make it move better? So that's going to be one thing with any of your suits, is constantly doing a fitting on your suits and making sure that it fits the performer correctly. Now I know on this original drawing here, because I was kind of doing this for myself, I was going to have lifts on the shoes. And I can show you how to do that next week. We can get into a little bit more of the fabrication of that, is doing a lift. I'm only 5'10". Jamie's 6'6", so I'm actually going to try to make him about 7 foot tall just by raising the head up and raising the neck and the shoulders up a little bit more. But for myself, I would have had to do a lift just to get me up over 6 foot and give the appearance of a larger character with the taller head that's up over my head. So I could have actually gotten myself up to maybe 6'6", 6'7", comfortably. But when you've got a big, tall actor, why build lifts or anything like that? It's harder for someone to walk when you're walking on high heels and, you know, you haven't done it before, or you're not used to walking on high heels. I don't walk on high heels, just to let you know. So I'm starting to break this down, and you know, the rib cage, the chest, calf muscles, and I will end up fabricating, you know, it's a Bigfoot monster, so I want a big foot. So I'll probably end up fabricating just a large foot for him, or 2 feet, that is. So I'm starting to get a pretty good idea of what I want. Like I said, I want to see this, the butt here, I want to see that move. Now we're also going to be going over a little bit of fat suit techniques. I'm going to incorporate this kind of little jelly belly on my my Bigfoot character. You can see a lot of these lines I'm overlapping, you know, because I kind of want to see how they would overlap. You know, obviously the chest muscle is going to go over the rib cage. The rib cage is going to go over the tummy because I want the ribs to sort of telescope, you know, over the tummy when he crunches and folds up. That you know, when he's moving around, I want that rib cage to sort of move and slide up over. I think we had some other pictures. Let me try to pull that one. You can see how I layer those. There's this picture, and actually that was the picture I think you guys are using for the tutorial. And you can see right here the rib cage, you know, how it goes underneath the chest muscle here. And then there was a bit of a fat tummy put on this character as well. It was added last. But the ribs went over the fat, excuse me, over the fat tummy. So everything's sliding over itself, kind of telescoping muscles there. And that's what I'm always interested in. I'm always interested in making all these muscles ride over each other and not just sewing them tightly. If I just did a stitch around all of these muscles, nothing's going to move. It's all going to just kind of mush together. But I want it to move naturally for a couple of reasons. I want it to look nice when we cover it with hair, but I also want the performer to be able to perform. And if he can't perform, if it's just a locked-in suit, then he's wearing just a big bulky foam, and just may as well wrap him with a few inches of foam and then say good luck and power through it. It'll make the performer really tired. So I'm still just mapping out some of these muscles. And these are all going to be a lot of separate pieces that will carve out. Everything gets covered in spandex. And that's to let anything that you put on the outside of it, whether you're going to have a skin suit on the outside, the skin suit being just flesh. Each one of these pieces would be covered individually with spandex so that when you put a flesh suit on the outside of it, like Mike was going to be doing with his Hulk character, if it's just that, you want that to be able to ride nicely. So everything's covered in spandex, so it slides, you know, over the backside of the skin or the fur. Sometimes I do a double skin suit, so everything will be covered in spandex. I'll do a skin suit, and that might get tacked down in certain little areas, and I'll be showing you that too. When I say tacked down, I mean sewn down in some of these areas. And then I might put a second skin suit over the top of that. So if I've got fur or costume or anything like that, everything is sliding, everything is moving really well. I don't want to lock up my suit at all. But right now we're just kind of designing. I've got, you know, a nice big back muscle here above the butt muscles, legs, traps, all that kind of stuff. And then I'm going to be doing a head that's kind of up and above the performance. Even though Jamie Hall is a very tall fella, I want to make him even taller. It's a Bigfoot character, so maybe I would even consider putting Jamie on like maybe 2-inch lift on the back, and then having the head that I'm going to fabricate be another 4 to some more inches above his head, so that I'm getting a character that's over 7 foot tall, which is fantastic. It's really imposing. It's really huge. It's great on set if he has to interact with any other average sized person like myself. I'm only 5'10", someone who's 6 foot tall. All of a sudden, this character is well over a foot taller than everybody else around him. So you want to give that height. Even Harry and the Hendersons, Kevin Peter Hall being as tall as he was, the head was sculpted, had a larger crest. I don't think he was on any lifts, but I'm sure he had prosthetic feet on. I don't think they lifted him, but he was a very tall man. So, but again, when you're shooting on set, you can shoot a little bit lower, makes him look a little taller. Even adding the character up on some what we call apple boxes on set, which is just a box, it can make the appearance of being much taller as well. So, but I just want mine to be really tall, even in person. So again, we might lift Jamie up a little bit. I'll put the head above him, and we'll get a character well over 7 foot. So yeah, that's what we're doing here now, just doing the grouping and the breakdown of the muscles. So I think maybe we should start looking at materials.